Combination spellcasting has always been a part of D&D, but we never had it all in one place.
Today we're reviewing Bigby's Handbook of Creative Spell Use. Welcome to the Homebrew Crew. I'm Tony, this is Sean, and we're back. We've been gone for about a week or so.
Yeah, a little bit.
There's been some things come up, but we are back. Don't worry, we're still continuing all this. And today we're looking at an awesome guide that I found on Dmsguild, and that is Bigby's Handbook of Creative Spell Use.
Now, of course, whether or not you're a player or a DM, you may notice that it's kind of hard to see players or hard to work with other players when you're trying to combine spells to do really cool effects. There are a lot of spells in D&D, and surprisingly enough, a lot of them actually can work very well in tandem with a little bit of thinking.
And I actually would look at that and say, okay, well, I've always thought that there's not enough spells.
Yes, exactly.
But the cooperativeness of a party and actually people using them together is something we don't often see.
Yeah, the combination of spells and the ones that you'll kind of see in this video almost are like new spells in a way. It's a very interesting supplement because really it's not really this secret or this really deep thing that no one really knew about.
They're there.
Yeah.
You just never really
no one really did it.
Right.
So
this is a great guide. Let's get into it. We're going to look at 3 of the spells in this one. I
actually really want to mention there are more than 70 in here, which is crazy. There's a lot.
There are tons. A lot of them have similar trends and things to them, but
yeah,
it's amazing. So this is the artwork. Again, totally awesome artwork, right?
Yeah, and then one thing that I kind of noticed when I was reading this is formatted like you would like print out as like a card.
Right, yeah.
It's really interesting.
Each of them in here, you'll notice they're printed in long format. You can actually print these off on all 4 cards. And you can just kind of have them in
a little Rolodex. Yeah,
right?
There you go.
Well, let's take a look at this first one here. And this is one that's near and dear to our heart. This one's called Grease Lightning.
Yeah, this is a great one. Unfortunately, nothing to do with singing or dancing. But one thing that you'll notice, the way that they've structured this is that they've actually put the prerequisite, the required spells, the prep time, and it looks like a long list because some of these may require, 2 people, it may require multiple spellcasters, but they are really good about including everything you actually need to pull off this move. Right.
There's even in some of these there's variations to them too that they show you, oh, you could do this instead of that. And we'll get to that. But Grease Lightning. So this is the idea that you want to actually restrain somebody, but you want to be able to do some damage to them at the same time and make it harder for them to get up. So there's this really wonderful ranger spell called Lightning Arrow. I don't know how many people know this.
Yeah, and Lightning Arrow is a really neat spell. It's basically this bonus action spell, which we would assume turns your arrows into extra lightning damage, but when you actually read the spell, it turns a ranged weapon as well into lightning damage.
So why not a net?
Exactly, which is really cool. So yeah, it requires Lightning Arrow. You need to then attack with the net because that Lightning Arrow is a bonus action. And then it also includes the use of the grease spell.
Now you would end up either doing that with another person doing the grease spell or you doing it on another turn with that. There's always limitations to who has these types of spells as well. But essentially what ends up happening is the lightning strikes, does the damage that's there, and then goes back to being a net. So now the person is trapped by the net. And then you cast the grease spell on the ground there. And because they're restrained by the net, they now have 0 movement. And then the grease spell and disadvantage on dex saves.
Right. And because they have 0 movement, they actually cannot get up. They have no movement to actually give up in order to stand up, which is kind of a crazy thing. They are kind of permanently stuck until they can get out of the net. So it's a really neat kind of thing that they found in this loophole.
Right. And your friends can walk up to it and attack it. It's a really awesome thing. I love this one. Not as much as I love the next one.
Oh, this next one is fairly, I'm not going to use the word broken, but DMs, watch out. This is Money Monsters.
Now, this one's actually my favorite in the entire book.
Yeah.
We've read through a lot of them there. And this one, basically, you have to be able to cast Crusader's Mantle, so you got to be a paladin when you can do this.
Yes,
or
cleric. Yes, you actually have to be one of those 2. And then you actually also need to animate objects, which the cleric and paladin cannot do.
So you need your friend, your wizard friend, to be able to animate objects with you on that. But here's basically what you do. You cast Crusader's Mantle. That takes that 30-foot range around you and gives everything that minute little bonus.
Yeah, the little D4
of 1d4 of the radiant damage. And you're thinking, how could that possibly hurt anybody?
Right.
Well, you have your wizard toss 10 coins in the air, and animate objects on them around you. So now you've got 10 coins around you. They get their normal bonus of
that D4 plus 4.
D4 plus 4. They have a +8 to hit.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Which is nuts. And now they're getting an extra 1d4 of this radiant damage from the Crusader's Mantle. So anything that's around you within that 30 feet, you can have these coins attack, and you're essentially doing 20d4 plus 40 damage per round.
Yeah, it's a really, really sickening thing, thinking about that, getting hit by that damage. And this is not really even late game stuff. I mean, these are 3rd and 5th level spell slots. This is not even like super late into the game.
Right.
And it's also important to note that this is a really good example of requiring 2 different players to actually pull this off. Some of the feats that you're going to see in here can be pulled off by one person, but I really like this one. This is a really good example because you literally need a completely different class and actually to put this together.
But if you pull it off, you're doing this massive amount of damage, and still at that same point, you as the paladin still have your attacks and things that you can do.
Yeah, because Crusader Mantle enemy objects, of course, do require concentration. But that does not mean that you're stuck to doing nothing else.
You can still go up to something and hit it. I mean, that mantle is 30 feet radius around you.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's kind of
cool.
like
another aura.
They do give a variation on this one as well, and I don't know if you could see all of it because we're in the way, but you can also use this with Conjure Woodland Beings.
Oh, good God. A bunch of squirrels just coming out of
squirrels. Death by squirrel.
Oh, no.
I thought it was cool. All right, so we're going to look at one more out of here.
Yeah.
But remember, there's over 70 in this thing, right? So there's tons of stuff. This next one, I thought, maybe this works, maybe it doesn't. But I looked it up. It works.
Yeah, and there's a beauty in simplicity. And this next one is called Orbital Bombardment, and it literally only requires Scrying and Meteor Swarm, and that's the whole thing.
Pretty simple with that too. Scrying, if they fail to check or what have you, you can see where they are.
Yeah, it literally says like there with that person. Yeah,
it literally says you can see and hear, right? And then Meteor Swarm, it has a 1 mile range, and as long as you can see something within that 1 mile. So you look into the scrying, you see the guy there, and you go, boop.
Yeah, press your little death button, and they're taking a very nasty, oh my God, was it 20d6?
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, so it's kind of an interesting thing. They do mention that you can use clairvoyance as well, but it's kind of interesting because clairvoyance, you have that object that can see through it.
So
you kind of have to have it in
planning
there.
Ahead of time, possibly.
But this is a great breaking component, I think. You know where that enemy is going to be. You know what bar he hangs out in.
Right.
So
and then you end up nuking said bar. And it's interesting. This one can even potentially be. I think you can probably pull this off by yourself if you kind of take the time to do it. Or again, you could also partner up with another player. But it's really a simple thing. And the thing I also like about the supplement is that it kind of reminds you about certain rules. Or like, oh yeah, technically, if you can just see something, X does Y. So like it really kind of reminds you of all these little different minute rules that you kind of forget about when you're casting spells.
Totally. Now, this one, if anyone wants to pick this up, it's going to be on the Dmsguild. I know we do that a lot, but really, truly, it helps us with the channel when we do those too.
It does, yes.
It totally does. So that's Bigby's Handbook of Creative Spell Use. It's a little hard to say.
A little bit
I always want to say Bigby's,
but
and you can definitely pick this up on Dmsguild. We'll have a link in the description below. Really awesome one. Well worth every penny of it. I think it's like $14.95, but it is great, and you can print these out on cards and give them to your other players at the table.
Yes,
cool.
And if you are new to the channel, keep in mind that we actually review lots of homebrew stuff for D&D 5e. We review monsters, items, classes, races, all sorts of things. And if you want to make sure that you're in tune for those videos, be sure to subscribe down below and hit the bell. That is the only good way that you're going to get that notification as soon as we get a new video up.
That's right. And remember, the best campaigns are always the ones that are homebrewed. So until next time,
keep brewing.